Okay, thanks very much for your time, Doug. What has the school board been able to determine?
Well, Brookhouse School has a read-along with the Rotary Club every spring, and that involves a group of 20 people or more coming into the school, and each class has someone come into the class and they read and they talk about the importance of reading and literacy. And that happened yesterday, as it normally does. And then after the fact, someone noticed on social media that a photo had been posted of someone who had been there as part of the event and indicated that they were the newly nominated candidate for political writing, and that they had been into the school reading.
So, is that something that's allowed?
Well, schools have had political candidates come into schools. There's lots of politicians that come into schools on a regular basis for all kinds of reasons, typically to support their community. What was at issue here is that people and visitors, when they come to our schools, they have to indicate what the specific purpose is, and they have to sign in, and the school has to approve that. And at no time was it indicated to the school that anyone involved would be using potentially the photo opportunity for political purposes.
So, what's at issue here? Is it an allegation that there's misrepresentation happening here?
Well, I don't think the school would have, well, the school definitely didn't want to be used in that manner, and I don't believe that the school would have approved students being used in that manner. The other thing we have to remember is that when we're taking photos of students, parents have to give their permission for that. And while the photo that we did see, you can't readily identify who the students are, there are tiny heads in the photo, so there's just a whole lot of reasons why we would want parents to be aware of what the purpose would be. We would want the school to obviously be aware. There's obviously been some issues involving teachers and the government over the last few months that have left some emotions running very raw. So we don't want to have our teachers caught in the middle of that. So as a school board, we want to remain apolitical. And if people do want to come into schools, and if they are a candidate, they should declare that. And if the school wants them to come in, our direction would be that they extend that opportunity to all candidates.
So it's neutral or nonpartisan. Anyone, any candidate can show up.
Well, we see candidates often during political campaigns come into schools. You see it at high schools, perhaps in a political science class, where the students will come in and they'll ask the candidates issues that are relevant to them. And it's a great opportunity for the students to become engaged in the democratic process. It can happen at all ages using age-appropriate settings and language and points to talk about. But it just appears here that this is not what happened. And so the school expressed their concern to the Rotary Club. The Rotary Club said they would take care of it, and it does appear that the photo was taken down.
So what are the main issues here? Because there are several. It's if you can just outline them all.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity with a provincial election on the horizon to remind all candidates that if they do wish to come into a school, they need to contact the school principal. They need to explain the purpose, and the school principal has that ability to make that decision, but that it would be an opportunity that's extended to all candidates, and it has to be relevant and related to what the students are doing in school. So we don't want our students to be used for political purposes. They're there to learn, and if that involves learning about the political process, great, but otherwise they shouldn't be used in that manner.
Was this candidate deceptive?
Well, I think to suggest that the photo was posted without the school's acknowledgement and to not acknowledge prior to the event taking place that they were indeed a candidate, I don't think was totally above board.
Okay. And did he misrepresent himself as a Rotarian?
That I think would be more of a question for the Rotary Club. I can say from what I understand that at no time was politics discussed. The person did read to the students, but after the fact, a photo that had been taken of him reading was used for political purposes on a political website.
Okay. Anything else you want to add? I mean, is there anything, has the school board taken any action with the Liberals? Have they served notice with the Liberals, hey, don't do this?
Well, I think that's something we can look at going forward, whether we want to let all political parties know that, again, if you do wish to come into our schools, there has to be a stated purpose, and it has to be, from our standpoint, a learning opportunity for students. Otherwise, we would prefer that the political campaign take place outside of school.
Is the school board perhaps, does it have maybe a heightened awareness about the political sensitivities because of the labor dispute that we've come out of?
School boards have always been very aware of politics because in nature we are a board that has been created by government, so we have to work with government. So it doesn't matter what party is in power, we work with government, and so we can't at any time appear to be partisan in any way. Whether individuals that work for us wish to be, that's their choice, but as an organization we have to stay above that because we work with the government and all the political parties.
And finally, have you been in touch with Edgar Burns?
School board has not been. I don't know if the school has been, but our conversations have been with the school to see if they need any support from us rather than how we might follow up with who was in the school and what happened.
I read the teachers' comments on Facebook. How would you say the schools during the principal is reacting to this?
Well, I think the principal, they do feel that they should have known about that prior to. But as far as they're concerned, it's an issue that happened yesterday. They've had a great relationship with the Rotary Club. I don't suspect that will change. They just want to move forward.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Great.